Hey, what's up and welcome back, treasure hunters. So obviously when I go to the thrift store, I'll pick up anything that I can resell for a nice profit. But with that being said, what's the number one thing that I look for? Those of you who have watched my channel should know this because it's pretty much featured in every video that I make. But for everybody that's new, I'll tell you what my favorite thing to look for at the thrift store is and why. So if you've been a subscriber for a while and watched more than one of my videos, you probably know this right away. But the number one thing that I like to look for at the thrift stores is art. Now there are some pros and cons to looking for art at the thrift store, but to me, the pros outweigh the cons by a lot. So the first reason that I like to look for art at the thrift stores is because I enjoy it. I've developed kind of a love for art since I started thrifting. I would kind of appreciate it prior to that, but now after looking through however many, different artists and looking for signatures, looking through auctions, looking through thrift stores and all of that, I've kind of developed, a much higher appreciation for really nicely done art. Now, if you're going to go and to the thrift store and, look for things to resell for a profit, you have to sort of like doing it, or it's just going to be difficult to go. If you don't enjoy going to the thrift stores and looking for things to resell, then you're probably not going to go that much, and you won't be concentrating on things when, you are there looking. And obviously I will buy anything that I can resell for a profit. But I just don't enjoy, looking through racks of clothing or looking through, shoe racks or, the old electronics and that stuff. To me, I just like to, try and find those rare and valuable pieces of art. It still gets me excited when I do, and, it gets my adrenaline pumping and all of that good stuff. With that being said, another reason I like thrifting for art is the potential of finding something worth a lot of money. And although it's rare, it does happen. So when you're looking for other things like clothing or electronics or whatever, there's kind of a cap on, the most you can make, or, if you find a really cool vintage, Kiss t-shirt or something like that, yeah, you'll definitely make a good chunk of change for what you're going to pay for it. But with art, again, it's rare, but it could be a lot of money. And clothing and, other things like electronics or more modern items are great for, inventory turnover. So you can buy them and then throw them up on eBay and sell them pretty quickly. So I definitely see why some thrifters really go for those things, because they don't have to hold the inventory and they can get that money rolling through, reinvest in whatever and get their business going. But, I just enjoy the hunt. I enjoy the chase of trying to find, those super valuable pieces and, only paying, $10 or $12 or whatever it is for them. So that kind of rolls right into the third reason I like thrifting for art. And that is the profit margins tend to be pretty high. And what I mean by that is, at least in my area, I can't speak for the country because I really have only thrifted around in Northeast Ohio. I haven't traveled anywhere to do this yet, although I plan on it. I just haven't done it yet. So around here, prices, might reach up to $20, $25 for like larger pieces or something, but it's not going to be hundreds of dollars, for any kind of art. Most of the time I get art anywhere from $5 to $20. And if you look at that in the perspective of all the other stuff at the thrift store, it might be a little bit more, but it's pretty on par. And the potential, again, that you can make, the profit margin you can make off these pieces of art is really high. So I could buy a painting for $10 and it could be by a notable artist and it could be worth $400 to $600. But it might take me a little bit to sell, but that profit margin is just so high that it just makes it exciting, and I guess that's why I love it. Also, most people that, are at the thrift stores looking through stuff, if they're looking through the artwork, they don't know what to look for in, great pieces to flip. And I didn't know when I first started. I bought pieces that were like, now I kind of smile and like, wow, why the heck did I buy that piece? But back then, there's a high learning curve. So you need to, do your research and look through auctions and see what sells and become familiar with different styles and learn about the frames and, how to tell if it's original or if it's, just a print, what to look for in lithographs or different types of prints, woodblock prints. I mean, there's just so much to take in that you have to make an effort to learn that stuff in order to get pretty efficient at going through the art and, finding pieces to flip. So it kind of puts you at an advantage when you do go through all of that. Now, you can go through the art and you can find those pieces with a high profit margin, only investing, a small amount of money, and you can turn around and make a huge profit. And the last pro that I'm going to go over today is that even with artwork, most of the time the frame is worth, just as much or more than the price that they're asking. I buy pieces pretty often that I don't even care about the artwork. It's just the frame that I want, and I'll keep them and reframe, better pieces that I find, or you can sell the frames. I mean, antique, handmade frames or wooden frames can go for a good amount of money. So even if the artwork that you find, you might find out the artwork isn't really worth anything, but the frame, is still going to at least cover the cost of the piece. Now, the downside to looking for art, first is shipping. I get questions all the time, how do you ship large pieces of art? And it can be difficult. It takes a little bit to get used to packaging it the right way where it doesn't get damaged in shipment. Because the last thing you want is to sell a piece of art and then have it get damaged, on the way to the customer, and then, they want a refund, but you also have to pay for that shipping back to you too. So you either forfeit the piece and just give the refund, or you have to pay even more for the shipping back to you, and then you have to deal with, a damaged piece. So shipping can be a little intimidating when you first start, and, I went through that too. But once you ship a couple pieces and learn how to, bubble wrap it and properly make sure that the box is big enough that it's not gonna, get crushed, but it's also, covering the glass so it's not gonna get broken and all of that stuff. Plus the shipping cost, on my Etsy store, everything is free shipping because they tend to favor, shops that have allowed free shipping throughout their whole store. So all of the stuff is free shipping. That means I'm paying for shipping out of the cost of the, piece that was purchased. And that can get pretty expensive. So you have to realize how to price the paintings to include that shipping. And, it's going to vary. I could ship to Illinois. It's not going to cost me that much. But if I have to ship to Washington or California, it is going to cost a decent amount of money. The good thing is, on Etsy and eBay, at least, they have some pretty nice discounts using, USPS, UPS, or FedEx. Second con, going back to what I said earlier, is it tends to take longer to sell. That's just the nature is, people, there's not a ton of people out there that are constantly searching for new pieces of art. A lot of people already have their home set up and their walls decorated with pictures and paintings and stuff or whatever it might be, finding, you know, a new piece of art and where it's going to go and it doesn't match my home decor and all of that stuff. It's something that isn't purchased as often as clothing or electronics or those sort of things. So you might be holding on to pieces, especially if they're more valuable, because trying to sell something for a couple $1,000s, you know, that's gonna take a little bit to sell. You got to find the right buyer and the right person looking for that type of artwork. Another downside to it, I already mentioned before, is the learning curve. It's just, you know, it takes a while to get used to it, to learn all the different things. And I'm still learning all the time. Like I say this all the time, I'm not an art expert. I have just learned how to recognize certain aspects of a painting or the framing or whatever it might be. And I've gotten pretty decent at being able to decipher signatures too. That takes a lot of practice because, you know, it can be frustrating when you can't figure out who made a painting and it is something that you don't want to just give away. It could be worth, you know, a decent amount of money. So it takes a little time to get used to doing that. And the last con is storage. You know, storing a bunch of art is kind of difficult because you got to realize it's, you know, there can't be a lot of moisture because that is going to cause that foxing or discoloration. You want the pieces, you can't stack them on top of each other because they could get damaged, glass could get broken. So you have to, you know, stack them so they're all vertical and in, you know, somewhere near a dehumidifier or something like that. Once you start to accumulate a ton of pieces, you know, it takes up a lot of room. You know, you can hang them on the wall, but there's only so much wall space. So you're going to have to start figuring out how to store the paintings in a safe way where they're not going to get damaged. And that can just take up a lot of room. So that's why I really like looking for art. Now, I just went over paintings are my number one thing I look for. I love looking for sculptures too, but they're just super rare to find at the thrift stores. It's not like they have a sculptures section with, you know, like a bunch of bronze sculptures to look through or something. So those are items that, of course, I love finding, but they're just super rare. So again, for me, the pros definitely outweigh the cons by a lot. And once you learn how to navigate through those cons, it's really not that bad. So in the comment section, let me know what your favorite thing to look for at thrift stores or flea markets is. You know, I also like looking for folk art. I like looking for, you know, vintage pieces, mid-century modern pieces, you know, really cool lamps. Although, you know, that's also kind of rare. I don't find most of the lamps I find are just stuff you could buy at Target or whatever. So let me know your favorite thing to look for down in the comments. So thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the support. I'm going to have a thrift store finds video. I got some more stuff. It looks like the thrift stores are starting to get back somewhat to where they were earlier. I know I've been complaining, you know, for the last 6 months that, you know, there's just nothing. And I'm starting to find some stuff again. So that's really cool. And I'm also going to make some trips this weekend. And I've been testing out a new camera that I have. So hopefully I'll get some good video that I can put together something for next week. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't and like the video. I really appreciate that too. It really helps me out. I will see you in the next video. And if you guys get out there this weekend, I wish you the best of luck treasure hunting.